And just like that, we're live. Why? Because that's exactly what we can end up doing here. Yes. Listen, no music, no nothing else. This has been in the dust for a while. It takes a while to fire things back up again, as Ryan is cracking himself up here. No matter what, he got himself a snort. Apparently, that
No,
Dayquil is kicking in a lot, isn't it?
no, it's just what you said before. I got nothing.
You look in the mirror and you just laugh to yourself.
Listen, one way we got to start to show off, one way or the other. But no, back from the basements or the bowels or whichever way you want to call it, it is Mike Fuji back here on the Sports Radio Now side of the house as the Broad Street South. Yes, it is the actual company, but Sports Radio 102.9 The Game is where it's all said and done. So, Fuji, it's been a minute, and obviously a lot of things have happened since things have happened, which, most of it, obviously, things that you wouldn't want to see and hear. When it came to the Eagles, we saw that big fallout, and now their stories are coming out with them saying that a lot of things happened when Jalen Hurts got that signed extension. At least that's what was put out yesterday. Then Adam Schefter came on to try and defend a couple things that were out there because everybody wants to get to jump on the story. And to me, it doesn't make any sense because, again, it's just one of those things that I don't think in the end people are going to care so much. What people are going to wonder is when it comes draft time, what's going to end up happening. So we haven't spoken to you in a while. We know, obviously, a massive Eagles fan, but what's your thoughts as far as that just whole fallout and the travesty what it was?
Oh, going back, the debacle after the San Fran game, this team just didn't look the same. There was no cohesiveness. Nobody, Hurts looked like he didn't even want to be bothered with anybody on the sideline. A.J. Brown, you go back to week 2 with Minnesota, him blowing up on the sideline about not getting his catches, whatnot. He didn't talk to the media. Like, after that San Fran after they got their asses kicked, whatever you want to call it, this team just went flatline, dead. Didn't even deserve to be in the rage against the Tampa Bay Bucks because nobody even showed up. They all should have got their paychecks revoked the last 7 out of 8 games, which is a flat-out disgrace. And now you got this soap opera, whatever it's starting by Craig Carton up in New York, whether it's true, whether it ain't true. Howard Eskin reporting it doesn't seem like it's, who knows what the heck's going on. But to me, this locker room was just flat out divided. These guys look like they didn't even want to be on the field. To me, it's like, I'll say this. Howie just better get this team back on track because not only Sirianni, like I said the other night, has one foot out the door, and you can take this to the bank, folks, because if this team gets out 1-4, 0-2, whatever, Sirianni's gone. Mark my words, Kellen Moore is your next head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Bank it, guarantee it, write $10,000 checks on it. Kellen Moore is your next head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles if Sirianni trips. He's gone. It's a Doug Peterson situation all over again. But Sirianni just decided to be the yes man. Doug wasn't the yes man and backed his coaches and left.
Other than that, how bad was it?
It's the same situation. Howie and Jeff just letting Sirianni dig his own grave. Fangio brought his own people in. Kellen Moore is bringing his own coaches in. What's that tell you? As you said, Angel, recently, Nick Sirianni should have been fired. That's how it is.
He should have been. Yeah, Angel, right. You and I talked about it yesterday. It's funny. Like, rewind it to a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia makes the Super Bowl. Of course, they didn't make the halftime adjustments. They only lost by 3. And everybody liked the direction the team was going in. They start off 10-1. It was sort of a fluky 10-1, but they're still 10-1. And everything is going okay. You're sitting atop the NFC East. You're sitting atop the entire NFC. And then they get punched in the mouth by San Francisco, and it all goes to hell. What a difference 3 months makes. What a difference 3 months makes. Now we're talking, get rid of both your coordinators. Sirianni. Now it came out that supposedly, Big Dom was there to keep Sirianni's emotions in check
Right.
because of the emotions that were on the sideline and stuff like that. If this was the case, why not just fire Sirianni now? Because he's a lame duck coach anyway.
Yes.
Because it's like I said, and Fuji just reiterated, if this team starts off 2-4 or 2-5 or 1-5, you can forget it. And then it really gets bad. So again, this is almost like the Sixers off season last year. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I don't know what the solution is. Again, Lori gave them the ultimatum: fire the coordinators. Bring in guys that we might suggest. And it's not just a Sirianni. It's an organizational problem. Period.
Oh, it's hard to me. Like I said, Sirianni's already got one foot out the door. The guy's already on the hot seat, and the new year of the 2024 season didn't even kick in the high gear yet, which starts free agency. He's, like you said, Brian, he's a lame duck coach. He's going to take the fall, whether, who the heck knows? I mean, if this team could get back on, it starts with Howie. Because I don't know if they're going to keep Hassan Reddick. Is Hassan Reddick going to take a pay cut? You going to trade him? I mean, this team's got issues.
Yeah,
I mean, you got
the thing was, though, the thing was, according to Hassan Reddick, he said he never requested a trade. That's what was told. After someone decided, and again, this is what happens when people want to leak out information. It's not true. So apparently he said, in his words was, that he never requested a trade. He wanted to be here with the Eagles. So whoever put that out there misspoke for him, which that shouldn't even been the case. And if that's the case, yeah, they might. The Eagles know there's only so much room that they have, correct? And so now you got to work that magic the way you did last year. And what makes it so bad too is that you figure, as much as we like to bust Howie Stones all the time, the big difference is last year he made magic happen again. So you would think with the pieces that he put into place with basically a dollar store budget, he made things happen. But then we saw the fallout the way it did. By the way, Steve Long says, get a mic over from Facebook.
What's up, Stevie? How you doing?
So it sucks because we see this team where it should have been. There was a lot of teams, like I was saying to Ryan, we were down there at Radio Row in Vegas. The big thing was there was a ton, and I mean a ton of Eagles fans, Fuji. Like basically they bought their Super Bowl ticket and they were like, well, screw it. We got it. We might as well come here. At the NFL fan experience, easily, I would say by Thursday, there must have been, no lie to you, I would say about 200 Eagles fans in there. And they're just not going to come out to go see, obviously, KC and San Fran because they're not going to support either team. I'm quite sure these fans had thought, you know what, we're making a run. I'm buying my tickets now before they go extremely high. And then we just saw the fallout the way it happened.
As you're touching on, I believe Hassan Reddick that why would you want to be traded? You're in your own backyard,
right?
Playing in front of your friends and family. You come home. You sign a 3-year deal. Hassan Reddick, one of the top players right now on the Eagles. So I think Howie just told his agent, go out, seek a trade. We can't pay you. This team is in trouble money-wise. Right now, they're like 20-some million under the cap. You got Landon Dickerson to get paid. Devontae Smith might be getting paid. You better cut some of these guys like Kevin Byard, Avonte Maddox. Can't stay on the field. Always hurt. Cut him. You better. Dallas Goedert's due to make $15 million. The third highest tight end paid in the NFL. He's hurt all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't know why Howie didn't go out last year and draft the tight ends last year. It was a great crop of tight ends coming out. And I don't know. Howie just better pull out more magic like he better than 22 and 17 because this man has his work cut out for him. Sirianni's on the hot seat. Now, I'll say this. Howie just cannot draft. I am sorry. You can't draft receivers with the exception of Devontae Smith, and you can't draft D-backs. You either got to go out and re-sign a bum like Bradbury or trade for Slay, these guys are over the hill. They're done. Unless a miracle happens. But
Jordan.
another
Jordan,
thing.
Go ahead. I was going to say Jordan Davis is kind of a bust too.
Well, it's right now, but here's the thing: you let T.J. Edwards walk away, $6.5 million for $18 million, and went to the Bears. Like the Kobe Dean, another Sidney Jones Part 2 from 2017. It looks like. I'll give the kid the benefit of the doubt for another year. You got trash linebackers. You let C.J. Garner-Johnson walk. All right, he basically shot himself in the foot, thinking with his ego. But when's the last time the Eagles had a guy like him to lead the NFL in picks? Probably a very long time ago, if not ever. Like, your back seven were just garbage. And Reed Blankenship is a backup at best. He's not a starter. Another guy that can't even stay healthy. Here's another thing on the offensive side of the ball. The Eagles' third receiver this year, Zacchaeus, wasn't bad. 36 catches all year. I said this going into the last season. This team needed to upgrade the wide receiver position. Zacchaeus had a nice year, but you need a better guy than that. I'm sorry. Plus, DeAndre Swift, 1,000-yard back. When does this team ever run the ball? It's a joke.
I was just going to say, they don't run the football.
They never do.
They get away from it. And in
And
the beginning of the season last year, they ran the ball effectively. Then for some odd reason, they had a brain cramp coaching-wise, and they just got away from the when they run the football, they're successful at it. And when they get away from it, they lose. Go back and take a look at the games that they lost. They lost the rushing battle because they barely rushed it.
well,
All right. Well, hang on. Time out here because I got to make sure I give someone their proper flowers. Larissa, who's tuning in from the Jacksonville 95ers up there in Duval County. Larissa, what's up? Listen, as I said, 95er for life. There's still people to go to the website, by the way, Larissa. If you're still watching and listening in, there's still tons of folks that go and check out the video up there on the website, which has not been taken down, by the way. It hasn't had all the new additions, but there's a lot of folks that still tune in for the Jacksonville 95ers. So, see, there you go. Duval. I know you guys know nothing about that. I'm sorry. I apologize as we're down here in Florida.
That's
even though it's
the thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's the northwest part. Northwest. Or, sorry, northeast. Northwest is over there by Tallahassee.
Well, since I haven't been on in a while, you still got that Brady jersey hanging in the back. I just figured I'd ask.
So listen, there's no Brady jersey.
As opposed to that candy striper jersey that you have on there.
I appreciate you as well. I appreciate the 95ers for sure. And by the way, Michelle Fuji.
Hey, Michelle, how you doing? Thank you.
Oh, that's it. Hey, Michelle, how you doing? Yeah, I've been around the block or whatever. How you doing? Yeah, it's me. It's the Godfather. I just came back. It's absolutely nothing.
Like Prince's song, I went on, took a trip around the world in a day.
There you go. Vacation, the Go-Go's.
That's what it was.
Usually they're a ring chaser.
By the way, for those who don't know, the Jacksonville 95ers are making strides. By the way, Larissa, the uniforms? Who designed the uniforms? I was picturing something completely different from what we saw as far as the logo. So I'm kind of surprised the way they ended up doing the uniforms because it was something I wasn't expecting. But I was expecting something differently. But I know there should be two other ones because most teams usually switch it out. One obviously at road and one on the home. But no, that's 95ers. If you guys have not heard, it's because you don't want to hear. There's a ton of buzz when it comes to 95ers. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that because they are the newest team in the basketball league down here in Jacksonville, Florida. So you're traveling on 95, stop by and watch a game.
I was just going to ask you, were they named after I-95?
What number?
Yeah.
95.
Wait.
What number?
You'd like to, the 95.
There you go. That's what it is. And that's Fuji's best friend, by the way.
I can't get enough of it, dude. Every time it comes,
I don't recognize the voice. Who is it?
Yeah, you do.
The voice.
You don't recognize the voice.
Come on.
Really, you'd like to, the 95.
No, I don't. Honestly, who is it?
Oh my God.
It's not Howie.
Your senator from Pennsylvania.
That guy.
Yeah, likes to wear Carhartts.
Mr. Hoodie and sweatpants.
Yeah.
That guy.
Jeez Louise.
Mr. High Pockets.
It's incredible to me where he decides to take a press conference. He says, "I know it's a thoroughfare. It's a major thoroughfare. The 95."
Yeah, to give the guy a break, man. He did have a stroke. So
Well, that just tells you how much I don't really pay attention to that stuff. But anyway.
that's the next Eagles job.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if I was going to be a senator, I'd have a nice suit, nice pair of shoes, nice haircut. Look presentable. Don't dress like a bum.
Well, that's all because.
But that's society today, though.
You see Howie next off season introduce John Fetterman, next Eagles general manager. It'll be perfect.
Right, you look a little bit like Fetterman.
No, I look like the people say I look like Dan Campbell.
I could see that.
Wait, who did we have that they said you were somebody else too? And it was like the same reference. We had almost like two guests back to back, and they said you look like somebody else.
Well, Leslie Goodell said I look like he was a Philadelphia guy. He used to be on the NFL Network and stuff like that. He used to be the general manager of the Raiders. I can't. Fuji probably knows who I'm talking about.
Fuji doesn't speak Raiders.
Somewhat.
Mike Mayock. That's it.
There you go. Yeah. But then we had, remember, because we also had Julie on, and Julie said the same thing.
Mike Mayock?
Yeah.
No, was it Mike Mayock?
Without the
I'm
beard,
almost certain. Or did she reference somebody else?
She might have referenced somebody else. I know Leslie Goodell said I look like Mike Mayock. I didn't see it. And the Dan Campbell thing, I like when Detroit was in the playoffs and people were watching the playoffs, and I kept getting texts like, dude, you and Dan Campbell could be brothers. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't see it.
Insult Dan Campbell like that, please.
Oh, jeez. Now, hey,
I told you I was going to come out firing tonight.
That's all right. Well, we had a great
it off and wow.
Oh boy, good thing it's not NFL Sunday. It'd be a whole different story. But listen, well, it's speaking of Fuji. How do you feel this whole thing? Right. So last year we saw the USFL come back, and for what they said was the 1 year. Which how could you not be the USFL champion? Even though the Philly made it, but the home team had home field advantage throughout the entire season because everyone had to travel to go see them.
Birmingham.
Yeah. But then, we were all expecting for him to come back, and there were supposed to be a couple teams that were going to join as far as the expansion. And then you had the XFL. And then in the middle of the night, like when the Colts left from Baltimore, ended up in Cleveland, all of a sudden we get the UFL, which I kind of don't see the reason why, but I guess it made sense for them dollars-wise. But The Rock came on in Daytona, and they asked him a question about him. Well, why did it come about? And he just said that it made sense. According to him, he said it makes sense. But I don't know. If it's going to be something like what Vince McMahon did back in the day, I don't think it's going to work. Huh?
The original XFL.
Yeah. So if it's done the way he did it back in the day, I don't think it'll be as successful. To me, it's got to be one of those things that you have to be original. You have to do something different to attract this fan base. Because now the Arena Football League had just restarted. They're back. And I mean, it's only about 6 teams this year because it's new ownership. So a lot of the teams, when they made the initial assessment saying that we're going to come back, there wasn't enough teams to say, okay, we'll leave from whatever the indoor football league. I think it was the one that is switched after the AFL. But when I was speaking to Sean Knapp, the GM from the Orlando Predators today, he was saying it's about 6 teams right now, and they'll end up expanding. So I'm wondering, because they just about start the schedule at the same time, will the AFL have more ground than the UFL? Because I just don't know how you're going to make it any different than what it was the first time around.
Well, the XFL and the USFL, merging, and The Rock brought the XFL back a year or two ago, or last year. I don't know. When Vince McMahon had it, I mean, that just went in the toilet. But I don't know. I mean, maybe you would know about this, Ryan, but doesn't the NFL might have something to do with this now? Like acknowledging it, like there's the NFL has been signing players, I think, from the respective XFL and the USFL over time. Because the Eagles, I don't know if the guy's even on the practice squad, but they picked up one of the better receivers last year that played in the NFL. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to see because, when I remember when the USFL originally came out in 1983, I was a huge Stars fan. Actually went to the first Stars game against the New Jersey Generals that Herschel Walker played for. And those Stars teams, and Carl Peterson was the GM, of course, of Kansas City at one time. Jim Moore, the head coach, and the USFL kicked it back then. But I mean, I don't understand why none of these respective teams are in their own cities. I mean, it'd be great to have the Stars, back in Philly.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Sure they would sell out.
Yeah, but that's why I said I was waiting for it, because this year with the USFL, all the teams were supposed to be back in their respective cities.
Right.
And so that's why I don't understand. All right, so you guys decided to merge together, but we're back to 1 year of everybody playing in one place. So it doesn't make any sense, because the fans were dying to bring, obviously, football back to the city. Even though it before it used to feel like an eternity when your teams were gone, now is Super Bowl, it was 2 weeks separated.
Right.
And before we know it, then you have the draft coming up. Once the draft is here, then the time really starts to fly, because you have the volunteer OTAs and you have the OTAs, the mandatory OTAs, right? And then all of a sudden it's around here as well. So if you were going to do that, to me, if you had to take an additional year, then you should have allowed for the USFL to finish out their original contract, let the teams go back to their respective cities, and then say, okay, next year when we come out, just to let you guys know, we were thinking about playing in one stadium, but now we're going to send everybody home. So I just don't know how much success you're going to have, because obviously the USFL last year didn't make a ton of money, because everybody looked at it as like Birmingham had the advantage all year round. So why am I going to support my team when they come back home when everybody just went to one place?
I'd rather watch The View than watch this stuff. The United Football League, or as I call it, the Ultimately League, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna last. This is just a flash in the pan. It's not even a semi-pro league, to be quite honest with you. College football is better than what they're going to put on the field. So I know people, they're fans, or they have to have football 24/7. Unless it's college football and unless it's the NFL, no one's going to watch it unless you get the people who really have nothing to do to kick back and watch. But it's not going to last. It's proven in the past that leagues like this don't last. People don't watch the Canadian Football League in America. I mean, and people don't watch the Canadian Football League in Canada. So how
does the CFL survive, though?
Yeah, I don't know. So, but this isn't going to last. I give this a year, maybe 2.
Well, I mean, really, if you remember the original USFL, you had Reggie White, Jim Kelly, Steve Young, other big names that went to the NFL after that. And can the UFL market themselves like the NFL does? Probably not, because they don't have the superior talent that the NFL has. And it's just, back then the USFL, they were throwing, $1 million contracts. And that's 40 years ago. And I don't know. I don't really know that much about it. I mean, because it's just not, it doesn't really do anything for the diehard NFL/college fan. I mean, it's not like you got, it's not like you're taking big names coming out of the college draft this year, like, Caleb Williams or whatever. But, it's like Ryan said, it'll probably, hopefully it'll last as long as it can, but it'll probably go belly up, because, they're not the NFL. The NFL, besides all the other 3 major leagues, I mean, they know how to market. I mean, hell, you're already in Europe. Now the Eagles are going to be in Brazil. And, I'm waiting just for the Jaguars to hop over to the pond and be in London. Because, they're just marketing them over there every year. And, who knows? The NFL could be in some other country come this time next year.
Here's the other thing. People forget, Angel, that back in the 70s, they tried to start a league called the World Football League. And Larry Zonka jumped ship from the Dolphins to go and sign, I can't remember what team it was, but they tried to start a World Football League. And Larry Zonka was one of the first all-star players to jump from the NFL to this World Football League. I think he inked like whatever it was at the time, $1 million contract over like 3 or 4 years. Well, the World Football League lasted like a year or two. Couldn't compete with the NFL. And that was way back when people were really starting to get into football in the National Football League, because it was only like the 4th or 5th year that the AFL and the NFL had merged to make it like one big NFL. Right. And it didn't work because they can't compete. You just can't do it. Whether you have it in a spring or the summer, it's not going to work. People just have too many other things to tune into.
Well, if you go back early 2000s, the late 90s, the NFL had the World League with all their teams over in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that lasted very long.
NFL Europe,
maybe 3 or 4 years, and it just wasn't the same flavor like the NFL.
Nope, wasn't. But and he keeps saying it's going to happen. The NFL Europe is going to happen. It's a matter of time. As much as they keep saying that they're going to keep Jacksonville in Jacksonville, they're investing apparently $20 million or something ridiculous to be able to what's the word I'm looking for here?
Take a breath.
No, there was something that came through. I had to make sure it wasn't super important. My thing is that you have Jacksonville says they're going to invest about $20 million into their stadium for a renovation. It'll never happen to the point where they'll host another Super Bowl, because for the times that they did, there wasn't enough room. They had to bring in cruise ships in order to accommodate people. And there's not enough restaurants either, because a lot of restaurants were running out of food by 7 p.m. And so they're not going to be able to. They can replenish it all they want to. They can try to make it nice. I know they're really trying to rebuild Jacksonville. It's tough. It's tough to make things work the way they should work. And I just don't see it for Jacksonville to stay in Jacksonville. I think they're going to be the first ones to jump to go to London. The problem is how many athletes that are here in the U.S. actually want to spend 6 months away from home, because even on a bye week, you're not going to come home on a bye week, because it would throw your clock off so bad, because you'll be in London all that time. And then you come here and then you're going to go back home again, or, back to where you reside in London. I just think there's too many factors for me personally that it wouldn't work. But the London or the NFL is trying their best to try and get European teams.
I just don't think it'll ever happen. I've been wrong before. Obviously, I'm wrong all the time. But in this particular instance, it's not going to work. Like you said, it's a logistical nightmare. Guys will not want to stay over there 6-7 months out of the year. They just it's the London Jaguars. Do you want to be flying from London all the way to Seattle? No, it's not going to happen. Just like with college football, the Stanford and Cal being in the ACC is only going to last so long, because you don't want to fly from Stanford, Palo Alto, all the way out to Clemson, South Carolina. It's a logistical nightmare, and it doesn't make any sense. So they can have games in Brazil, they can have games in Germany, they can have games in London, blah 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 blah. It's just I get they're trying to expand it. They're trying to get like more of a world audience. But as far as NFL teams being abroad, unless they, like Fuji said, they used to have an NFL Europe. If you want to start up an NFL Europe and just have those games in Europe, more power to you, if that's what they want to do. So, but I don't think the NFL itself will ever say, oh yeah, we're going to have the Brazil Braziers play the Philadelphia Eagles this year in Brazil. Not going to happen.
Well, you think, in the grand scheme of it, if they go to an 18-week season, don't you think coming back from Europe, you're going to need 2 bye weeks instead of just one?
Of course.
I mean, how do you figure all that? I mean, there's a lot. To me, I don't know. You got a lot of NFL fans over in Europe, but is it just a fad? I mean, nothing's going to ever top soccer in the world. I mean, let's face it. Soccer's head and shoulders above every sport.
Sure is. By the way, I do believe someone is acknowledging you there, young sir.
Hey, Marie, how you doing? Thank you for checking in with us. Hope you're well.
Angel, I would almost like to see the NFL, if they're gonna have a late Super Bowl, this is what I would like to see the NFL do. People would pitch a fit. Play half the season, and then right smack dab in the middle of the season, everybody for the weekend gets the bye. So every team in the NFL at the halfway point, it's a week off for the NFL. And then you get to the end of the year, don't have the week off for the Super Bowl. Period.
Let me throw this in there.
Or throw the Super Bowl on a Saturday. It makes more sense to have the Super Bowl now on a Saturday than it is a Sunday. Because it's too damn long.
Let me throw this in there. The NFL, for the first time, had a game, the Jets and the Dolphins, on Black Friday. You already got Thursday and Sunday game. Thursday, Sunday, Monday. Now, who's to say, by season's end, you got games on Saturdays? How do you know if, just hypothetically speaking, they do go over to Europe?
Yeah, but
how do you know they don't throw games on Fridays and just go?
But
it's a lot. But
that's been the problem, though, Fuji, because you figured they're right now. You're looking at Monday, right? If something goes wrong on Monday, then they do Tuesday. Like we've seen before. The double Monday night games, I can't stand. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, especially when it comes to a season opener. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever because this year we saw it was like a 15-minute difference from one game to the other, which I just thought is absolutely lunacy. You have the Thanksgiving game. Then you start having the Friday games. You got the Saturday games because, getting ready for, the postseason. Then you got Sunday. I mean, at this point, why don't you start going 7 days a week? When the NFL starts adding too many games during the week, you're starting to really take away from the product that it was. Everybody appreciated when it was on Sunday. Now, Brian has said, just like a lot of people have talked about it before, is that a lot of people want to see the game played on Saturday. Because you got to figure how many people take off Super Bowl Sunday, right? They take off, or they take off that Monday, especially if your team won.
Right.
I'm no different, but the only difference was at the time in the job I was working, I was off on Monday, so I was fortunate. But I also took off the rest of the week too to celebrate with the team, and that was just a me thing because it was the first time ever that we got to see something like that in Philly. But to me, when you start adding too many games for too many days of the week, that's a tough one. Ryan, you probably bring up a good point where if halfway through the season, everybody would take off and then it almost becomes an even playing field.
Exactly.
The only difference is that to not have that week in between for the Super Bowl, I can understand a team who has someone who's banged up and maybe that extra week they had off could bring that player back. So I get that, where they do it. But I think on Saturday, much better. I think the numbers would definitely go up a lot higher because it's a party night anyways. So you get to celebrate on Saturday. For the people that are off on Sunday, you don't have to have all these companies that's like, well, I'm not coming in on Monday. Why? Well, because I was at the Super Bowl party on Sunday night. It would just make more sense, but there's so many people that put up an argument like, no, it's just stupid. They should just keep it the way it is. So will the NFL ever change it? Probably not.
Well, I mean, people have brought that up for years. Why not play the Super Bowl on Saturday?
Right.
It makes more sense, especially to recover on Sunday. You probably won't have as many people taking off or calling out of work the next day for those who have to work Monday.
Well, you know what? They've done it before. They played a Super Bowl before where there was no bye week.
Well,
they did it a couple of times.
Well,
So they've done it before. I mean, if for players' safety and for players' peace of mind, the other thing I would like to see them do is, look, nobody gives a shit about Thursday Night Football. They really don't. Unless it's you're a fan of the team that's playing on Thursday night. Nobody cares. The games suck the whole 9 yards.
Oh.
What I'd like to see them do, but they'll never do it, Angel, just play the damn games on Sunday and be done with it. Nobody watches Monday Night Football anymore. There's too much other stuff on television on Monday night unless you're fans of those teams. Nobody watches. What do most people do on Sunday? They want to relax during football season on a Sunday. They want to kick back with a beer, their favorite food. Just play all the damn games on Sunday. I guarantee you it would be successful.
It would be.
The only thing I like about different games spread out, you don't get to see a lot of the teams like, in the NFC or just a football fan. And you don't really get to see that many. You see highlights, but you only really get to see like the games of the week. And basically in this market, you're either going to get New York down south, and it's you're not going to see like, not that some people care, but I just love football. And I just like to see different teams, period. I know so many games are snooze fest. Like, what's the point? You got 10 million other things you could be doing besides maybe watching the Arizona Cardinals and some other toilet bowl team.
Possibly. Sean says, what's up, guys? Who's the guy in the Phillies jersey? It's some schmuck that we happen to pick up on the side of the road. That's who it is.
Sean, how you doing?
No, but it's never going to change. The NFL continues to find ways. They want to become the first $1 trillion sport, and at the rate that they're going to do it.
Well, because they know how to market. Like,
right.
Goodell doesn't deserve $50 million plus. I mean, what's he doing with all that money? But the NFL knows how to just market themselves. Like I said earlier. Besides the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball, and this is why you don't have guaranteed contracts, because you could sign a 4-year deal and be cut in 2 years. Take care, God forbid you career end an injury. Like, these guys don't make nothing. I mean, the quarterbacks are the ones making all the bread and butter. And Seth Joyner said this a few months ago. He said there ought to be 2 salary caps. There ought to be salary caps for the regular players, and there ought to be a separate salary cap for quarterbacks, because right now, the way it's coming is Dak's going to reset the market at $60 million, the way it's coming down the pike.
Good luck with that.
Again, as we get ready to quickly wrap up the show, this is, by the way, just a small... So those who are tuned in, I think Fuji was waiting for fireworks. We told the city of Philadelphia, but apparently they didn't want to do it. So sorry, Fuji, we tried. They said they have enough issues with horses and all kinds of animals running down 95. Fetterman tried to chase him down, but apparently the horse beat him to the chase. So, hey, it's just, listen, it happens. But yeah, it's just, the NFL's never going to change what they're doing right now. Goodell, to me, should not be there. Everybody knows this. I think in the next landing spot for them to play will be Australia. He has this huge fascination with Australia. I think if anybody's going to go anywhere first, that they might make a good push to be out there. Again, London, yeah, it's great. The only problem is, I think, is as the NFL season gets ready to kick off, we are in the summer, they're already in the wintertime. And so as the season progresses, of course, then the change of temperature would be the opposite way. Then when players are going over there, you're looking at the spring, summer as it's coming to a close. So, I don't know what the NFL is ever going to do to try and fix the problem that they have right now, but they got a big problem because, again, you can't, all these games and the Thanksgiving games, listen, no offense, I'm really tired to the point of Dallas every stinking year being there. And I mean every freaking year. Why can't some other city host a Thanksgiving game? It's either Green Bay, it's Dallas, it's just the usual suspects. And it just gets to the point, like, I know everybody's together for that day. Everybody wants to sit down in front of the TV. They want to enjoy it. I'm tired of seeing Dallas. Honest to God, I really am. It's like, let's change this thing. I'm glad Green Bay beat them. Don't get me wrong. I'm just tired of it. And so I don't know what the hell is going to end up happening there. Sean says, you're on the clock. Who are you drafting at 22 for Ryan? Who are the Chiefs getting at 30?
Well, drafting at 22. I think that's
you guys get 30 because you guys won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's for Fuji.
22.
Yeah.
Well, any Eagles fan with any knowledge would go with a linebacker, but who knows what Howie's going to do.
He's not going to linebacker. We both know this. He's not
They
going
haven't
to
drafted a linebacker since Jerry Robinson, 1979.
Right. So they're not going to start now.
Well, we can't deal with these trash can linebackers anymore. It's I don't know what Howie's going to do with the pick. Myself, I'd go out and trade for Patrick Surtain myself and get rid of Slay, say goodbye to Trash Perry. 24 years old, 1 year left on his contract. Build that secondary and get some linebackers in here.
At 30, it just depends what the offseason is going to hold for the Chiefs. Are they going to sign Jones? Are they going to sign Snead? I don't think they can keep both. It just depends who they lose. If they lose either, Travis Kelce's getting older, I might think about trading up for Brock Bowers, the tight end from Georgia.
Well,
yeah, he's high on a lot of people's lists.
I will say this much, and Fuji, because you haven't been around as much as I wanted to, how he's going to draft an edge rusher. Don't even expect that one either. Don't expect that. He's going to screw it up. Trust me, he's not going to get an edge rusher either. He's not. I have zero confidence that he's going to pick what's needed.
Oh, I don't know. Graham's on the Grand Tour to say goodbye. Josh Sweat has 1 year left. Hassan Reddick, you don't know.
Yeah, but Graham's already said he's going to come back, and they already approved for him to come back for one more season. He's going to do his final season with the Eagles. So why are you going to get an edge rusher now? You got to think like Howie now. Why would you get him now when you know you have him, knowing that he can get injured, but you're not going to do it? So he's not going to freaking do it. Sean says he heard Kevin Ridley is going to KC.
I've heard that.
We'll see. I'd rather see them get Mike Evans or Stephon Diggs.
Yeah,
but that might be a little too pricey for them. So.
Yeah, but that ceiling right now is like $25 million at the Bucks tag them, which we are in tag season now.
Yeah, which is a big problem. But I'll leave it with this. And as what I started saying before was I wanted to hate the Chiefs so bad, but being down there in Vegas with media night the first night, I will say the Chiefs are a very, very classy organization. And those guys, when they were taking it from the fans, don't get me wrong, but the confidence that they had, as I said to Ryan, there's a difference between confidence and cockiness. None of them, not a one were cocky all week long. Not a one. They just knew in them that they'd be able to do it. The problem that I had with San Fran was San Fran did not exhume the same exact thing. And from their head coach, when they kept asking him, what are you going to do with KC's defense? He honest to God, had zero answers. Zero. And he was asked multiple times. And Shanahan should have known. It's not hard. He would have had a winning formula for it, but he didn't. So Chiefs did what they were supposed to do. Obviously, that's why they're repeat champions, and they're going to be the ones next year to be knocked off the block. And I think too much emphasis was, can Mahomes do it on the road? He does it on the road all season long. The playoffs were going to be absolutely no different. Baltimore had the winning advantage, and Baltimore choked. They beat themselves and allowed KC to go in there and beat them in their own house. So, it sucked, but they're just a very, very classy organization. I seriously thought that Andy Reid was going to call it quits, but Andy has
was the rumor.
Yeah, that's what it was. But Andy is going to stay there as long as they keep winning, is the way I see it. And he feels still young enough to be able to do so. And right now, in Andy's tree of success, there's been a couple, except for whatever, I don't know what Bellamy can't get anything, but, supposedly they keep saying he doesn't interview well. So, all right, final thoughts as we're going to end this here very quickly.
Fuji?
Well, I'll just go back to San Fran. Green Bay and Detroit had him on the ropes and just couldn't deliver the final blow. And I don't know. Wilkes was the fall guy for San Fran, supposedly losing. And how come Shanahan should be on the hot seat? I mean, 5 out of 6 NFL titles, championship games. I mean, 1 Super Bowl appearance and just can't get it done.
But that's why they fired a defensive coordinator, because he took the heat for Shanahan.
Took the fall, but
right.
Shanahan should be on the hot seat. I mean, just some coaches like, hey, go back to 20 years ago. What's his name? Couldn't get Tampa Bay over the hump.
Tony Dungy.
And they brought Gruden in 1 year, won the Super Bowl.
Yippers, Ryan?
No, I'll just repeat what I said on another show. 44 years ago today, the U.S. hockey team beat the Russians. I think, where was it? Lake Placid.
New York.
Won that game, and then they went on to win the gold. So can't believe it's 44 years. I remember I was at the bowling alley watching it on TV.
You're showing your age.
That's right.
Yeah, I was in a crib, just bouncing around like a maniac at that point, just rooting them on. The hell did I know? I was 2 years old.
Mike Ruzioni, Jim Craig, Kenny Morrow.
Angel, you're older than that.
I know. I just try and make myself look a little bit younger, but I'm not.
Take your hat off to the U.S. hockey team. That was glory.
Yeah, a team that wasn't supposed to be there. And then what the bigger pisser was back then, they decided not to televise the game because they said they weren't supposed to beat the Soviets. Joke was on them.
Bunch of college kids.
Yep. Exactly what it was. And it could happen again. All right, folks, you have been listening to Sports Radio 102.9 The Game here, right on the Broad Street South Network. Used to be the Broad Street South Show here, but now it is the Sports Radio 102.9 The Game show. Why? Because, well, when you own the network, you can name whatever you want to. The funny-looking guy in the blue shirt, you guys might remember him. We found him and dusted him off in the closet, and he had cobwebs, all kinds of stuff going on with him. So we had to make sure we brought him out, bring his youth back, because, every once in a while he gets a little rusty. So you got to bring him out, fluff the feathers out. Make sure you get them fired up for next football season because, hey, listen, Arena Football League is here. The UFL is going to be here. There'll be plenty to talk about when it comes to UFL, if it comes to any kind of fruition. But, yeah, so, yes.
Phil's baseball, Sixers, Flyers, they're up and down. But
but the Flyers are doing a lot better than they've been in the past couple seasons. So I will give Briere and Jonesy a lot of credit. They have bounced that team back.
Let's give some credit to John Tortorella.
Well, yeah, around here again. I honest to God thought he was going to call it quits last year when he saw that disaster he had to work with. But I'm glad that Jonesy and Briere decided to step up and say, you know what, enough. I tell you, that's why I couldn't stand the Flyers anymore for that simple reason. They gave up. The Snyder family was like, you know what, it's cute. We got our stupid mascot. I know you think
Gritty. They love your boy Gritty.
No, I'm still not a fan when you wasted a bunch of money on this guy. Granted, he's lovable, whatever. People love him. Whatever. That's cute, but no. I wanted to see the Flyers. The Flyers have one more season before their name gets rid off of Lord Stanley. So you talk about the pressure's on. Unless you want to usually lose your name forever on Lord Stanley, you might want to find a way to win it again. So, all right. We shall be back hopefully here next week. I'm not too sure. I think we have to send a Western Union Fuji to make sure he's here on time because he likes to be especially late.
Send me my pay.
He's on work release program.
Western Union.
Sure.
Work release program.
Exactly. Man, Mickey comes in at the very end of the show. Mickey, how are you? Mickey has become a very, very good friend of the show over there at Martinez and Company. He's been busting Rich's stones since Ryan's been filling in for the past couple days. So
now he can bust the ring chaser stones.
Yeah. No, see, apparently you didn't hear what I just said. Mickey loves Ryan. And he's been not busting his stones. He's been busting the other co-host's stones because he's like, hey, he said Ryan dances. The other one doesn't dance. He believes that Ryan's a lot better than the current co-host. So Mickey's got a lot explain to do when it comes on Monday. That's all I got to say. So enjoy, Mickey. You're going to have some questions like Lucy to be answered. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your night. There's more stuff coming up, which obviously is friggin' talking hoops here right after this. So it's just been a long day of broadcasting, a long night of stuff, and we will see you all come next week. And hold on, what's up?
Listen up, Mike. Open your ears.
Listen up, Mike.
That's right. See, he's already busting your stones. Listen,
I'm all ears. I got 4.
That's
2
Mickey.
headphones in my ears. Bad joke, I know. I tried.
That's right. You can't say 4 years like you do 4 eyes. It's completely different.
4 eyes completely better different. Than 2. I wear glasses occasionally.
Yeah, we've seen it. Well, you get the peepers out every once in a while. All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Of course, you'll hear me come tomorrow night over on Martinez Company. So thanks for tuning in here at Sports Radio 102.9 The Game, and have yourselves a delightful evening.
Have a good week.